The mission is simple: to help high achievers naturally eliminate emotional and physical obstacles so they can optimize their life for higher achievement. Welcome. You have just entered the Genesis Zone. Good day and welcome to the Genesis Zone Show. This is Dr. Brian Brown. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on this beautiful Friday. It's true. Some stress is actually positive and is very beneficial. The cool thing is our bodies actually demand positive stress in order to survive. I mean, just look at our immune system. Were it not for the positive stress from viral exposures, bacterial exposures, our immune system would be in its infancy and we would never mount an immunity to anything. That's just one example. But in today's episode, I'll share some of the best ways to make positive stress work for you. And it has nothing to do with the immune system. Well, actually, it has little to do with the immune system, but we'll talk more about that in just a second. But before we get started, let's recap yesterday's interview. In yesterday's interview with Sarah, fitness and mindset expert Sarah Elise, she shared some golden wisdom with us. She shared 3 easy ways to find your personal solutions, SOUL, solutions for manifesting your wellness future. She also shared a lot about the brain-gut connection and what it has to do with exercise. And she shared her secrets for stress reduction that she uses with her clients. If you missed yesterday's episode, it was absolutely amazing. I encourage you to go back and listen to it. It was just chock full of great information. So I know you won't want to miss that. Now, last week, let's review a little bit. Last week, I started by sharing with you the concept of metabolic fragility. And don't get caught up in that because I discussed that at length. You can go back to listen to that episode if you want to. But I discussed how metabolic fragility can lead to us becoming more fragile overall as we age. But I also went into a lengthy discussion about how we can set ourselves up to become anti-fragile by nutritionally supporting our genes. And I gave you a little bit of a teaser about positive stress and how next week or the next week we'd be talking about it. So we're here. That's what we're going to be talking about it. But with nutritionally supporting the genes, when we do that, we nutritionally support the genes to that regulate and manage inflammation better. We nutritionally support the genes to help our body and our organs and our cells detoxify better. And we nutritionally support our genes to help with better neurotransmitter production and balance. And other genes to correct methylation deficiencies and support healthy mitochondria function, or the powerhouse for the cell, that generates the energy for every one of our cells, and nutritionally supporting the genes for neuroplasticity. And we talked about how that had to do with learning new tasks and memory and recall and retrieval of information. And then finally, nutritionally supporting genes that had to do with the fancy word autophagy, or cleaning up those dying cells that were just wearing out and getting rid of those and getting rid of that debris to replace them with new cells. So nutritionally supporting genes affects all of these areas. And I went on to share that once these genes are mapped out, we can then develop a plan to nutritionally support them with the correct supplements and lifestyle changes necessary to turn off the bad switches and turn on the good switches. Again, you can go back and listen to that episode to learn, understand what I was talking about good switches and bad switches. But genetics, in their simplest term, are just nothing more than switches that can be manipulated by the internal environment, what's going on inside our body, or the external environment, what's going on outside of our body. And the end result is that we, when we nutritionally support these genes and affect all of those areas that I just mentioned, is that we make ourselves more anti-fragile, and we set ourselves up for a better mood and less anxiety and more energy and better stamina and endurance, a stronger immune system, even better focus and concentration, enhanced memory and learning, healthier cell function, less inflammation, better detoxification, and healthier longevity. So that brings us to today's topic of positive stress. Now, I know you might be wondering what in the heck I'm talking about when I say positive stress. Some people tell me, I thought all stress was negative. All stress is not negative. So that's a great question. What do I mean by positive stress? And I can see where it will throw you for a loop, but I'm going to tell you what the fancy term for positive stress is. And then I'll tell you Dr. Brian's interpretation. So the fancy term for positive stress is hormesis, Hormesis, hormesis. No need to get hung up on the term. It really doesn't matter. Just know that it's kind of like the old saying, that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Or better yet, that which doesn't kill you or make you too weak will ultimately make you stronger. But to make it easier, we'll just call it positive stress for now. One of the best examples of positive stress is exercise. Nobody likes to hear that word, but it's true. One of the best examples for positive stress is exercise. Another great example of positive stress is temperature stress, meaning exposing yourself to extreme cold or extreme heat for short but very controlled periods of time. As we all know, exercise involves deliberate exertion, energy expenditure, fatigue of muscles, and really at its purest form, damage of muscles. And to a good degree, exercise also causes heat stress. Now, with heat stress, whether it's brought on by exercise, a hot tub, or a sauna, the body releases what we call heat shock proteins, or HSPs. Now, these little bad boys enhance our resistance to stress. They reduce oxidative damage to cells, and I'll explain more about that in just a second. They repair damaged proteins and improve cellular antioxidant capacity. In other words, they make our immune system stronger, and they make our recovery system and repair system stronger. You see, when we undergo stress, even if it's exercise-induced stress, we create what they call radical oxidative species, or ROSs. And we also create radical nutrient species. Together, they make RONS, RONS, radical oxygen and nitrogen species. They're not good for your body. They actually break your body down, tear your immune system down, cause inflammation, cause detoxification problems, so on and so forth. But what the radical oxidative species and the nitrogen species do is they trigger a genetic response in the body, whereby the body comes to the rescue and it starts releasing these HSPs to bring about healing and to accelerate healing. It releases these anti-inflammatory chemicals to take care of inflammation. It speeds up detoxification to get rid of all those toxins and waste that are produced as a result of the stress. So here are some benefits of exercise and temperature stress if we were to just list them all out. Genetic or DNA and cell repair is enhanced when we undergo this type of positive stress. Our cardiovascular health improves. Our blood flow and oxygenation to the entire body improves. Oxygen transport of the red blood cells improves. Insulin sensitivity improves. Overall hormone function and hormone output and hormone sensitivity improves. Attention, concentration, and focus increases as the neurochemical norepinephrine is released in larger quantities when we undergo these positive stresses. And it's been shown to, norepinephrine has also been shown to reduce depression and anxiety. So that may be where we get some of the antidepressant, anti-anxiety effect from exercise from. But we're also seeing that with heat type exposure therapies and cold type exposure therapies, so thermal exposure. And then we get this flood of anti-inflammatory compounds throughout the entire body. We get this flood of antioxidant compounds throughout the entire body. And again, the heat shock proteins are just in abundance because of the stress. And this is a cool one. These next two are remarkable, related to brain and nerve health. We actually get enhanced myelinization. Now, imagine wires in the wall of your house. All of them, if you don't know this, they have this plastic coating around them. We call it insulation, because if they didn't, the wires would touch, it would cause a spark, it'd cause a fire. It'd be a big problem. But we put insulation around them, and so that they can conduct electricity much more efficiently. Well, our nerves in our body do the same thing. We have this insulating factor around them called myelin, and it's basically fat and water. And without that, the nerves don't conduct electricity like they should. But with thermal or temperature stress and with exercise-induced stress, we're actually able to enhance myelinization of brain nerves, which has been shown to help the brain process information faster. It also increases or turns on the gene BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which leads to growth of new brain cells. This is what I talked about last week. This may sound a little bit familiar with regard to neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity being that process by which you grow new brain cells, you lay down new nerve pathways when you're learning a new skill, a new task, a new language, and then you're able to recall that. BDNF controls that system. But what happens when we exercise or expose ourselves to heat or cold is we actually increase or turn on those BDNF genes, which is absolutely amazing. Now, remember last week when I shared that the correct nutrition and supplementation can turn off bad genes and turn on good genes? Guess what? Scientific studies are showing us that hormesis, or positive stress, is having the same effect as nutritionally supporting your genes. And I'll include a link to this one particular study in my show notes later on, so you'll be able to catch that. But as we wrap up, I'd like to make our listeners aware of something new. I'm launching a brand new Gene Hack Bootcamp in about 4 weeks. Now, I'm launching this in the beta version first. What does that mean? Well, that means that you get to benefit from this being the first bootcamp class. First of all, it means that I will be, the bootcamp is going to be completely free of charge. Now, trust me when I say this, this will be the first and only time that it will be free of charge. After that, there will be a price associated with taking the boot camp. Secondly, as an inaugural class member, you'll get to help shape the boot camp experience. And then lastly, you'll get more access to me that class members in future boot camps just won't get. So let me break down each day for you. I'm really excited about this. Put a lot of thought, a lot of energy into this. And here's what you're going to get in the boot camp. The title of day one is The Secrets of the 5 Zones for Holistic Self-Optimization. By the end of day one, you'll have an in-depth understanding of the 5 zones of optimization that make up your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. And you'll have the answers to these questions. What are the 5 zones, and why do they even matter to me? The title of day 2 is 25 probably unknown challenges that are stealing your peak performance. By the end of day 2, you'll be able to self-identify which zone or zones are interfering with your peak performance that you may not even be aware of. And I'll answer the questions: how do you take the complex and make it easy? And how do you prioritize what to focus on first? That's critically important, by the way, because with mainstream medicine and many aspects of functional medicine and complementary and alternative medicine, they tout starting at the root cause, but they really don't. They start symptomatically. And what this does, this starts us at the true root cause. It gets us hyper-focused and takes what is very complex in the human body and distills it down to something that's very hyper focused and gives us a starting point. That one lesson right there is worth the entire boot camp. And I know it's free of charge at this point, but that information in day 2 is just invaluable. The title of day 3 is Putting the Pieces Together for Optimization and Balance. By the end of day 3, you'll be able to understand the bigger picture of how genes can affect your peak performance, but more importantly, how your genes can be coerced into working optimally to your advantage. And I'll answer these questions. Why is zone management so powerful? And how can I use it to get faster results in days instead of months? The title of day 4 is All You Need to Know About Becoming a Nutrigenomics Expert. By the end of day 4, you'll have advanced knowledge of nutrigenomics and how it can positively impact your life. And I'll answer the questions, what is nutrigenomics and why does it even matter? What are some supplements that can impact my genes positively? So in day 4, you're going to start to understand which supplements can nutritionally support your genes just at a foundational level. And we'll cover that on day 4. The title of day 5, finally, is The Exact Genes for Optimal Peak Performance. By the end of day 5, you'll know with absolute certainty the exact optimization genes broken down by the 5 zones that you'll need for optimal physical, mental, and emotional peak performance. I don't know anywhere else that this is being done where I've been able to take over the history of me practicing and develop a proprietary system for not only figuring out where to start, but breaking down each of those zones into these are the genes that you need to focus on in this zone in order to get optimization the fastest. That's what you're going to get in day 5. Now, if you want all 5 of those zones, if you have imbalances in all 5, you'll get all of those genes. So I'm going to answer the question, what are the 53 genes I need to check in order to be fully optimized? That's right, 53 genes. And then I'll answer the question, how can I go deeper with my genetic optimization? So if you're interested in this bootcamp, I'm going to limit the number of people that I accept into this bootcamp for one reason and one reason only. I want to keep this group small. I want to keep it intimate because I want us to be able to answer all the questions that need to be answered in this 5-day period. And if I have a large class of 100 or 150 people, I can't do that. So I'm going to limit that to a small number of people. So the earlier you notify me that you are interested in this, the more likely you are to be included in this particular bootcamp class. So I want to see you there. So if you're interested, we're still working on getting the webpage up and running. I've had a few technical glitches. That's just life sometimes. But you know what? Direct message me on Facebook or Instagram at Dr. Brian G. Brown. I'll be glad to put you on a waiting list. I already have several people that have messaged me and say, hey, Brian, I want to be a part of that. And Want got them on the waiting list already. They already have their spots reserved. So I promise you I'll follow through on that word. But I want to see you benefit from this. I want to get this in as many hands as possible. And I want to have an amazing experience for those who attend. And this information I've not shared anywhere else. You're not going to get it in my podcast. You're only going to get it in this bootcamp because we're going to go deep with this information. And by the end of those 5 days, you're going to know the exact 53 genes that you have to check in order to be fully optimized. And you're going to walk away with some base level supplementation that you can start to nutritionally support your genes with. And you're not going to regret it. I'm excited to be launching it. I can't say enough good about it. So tune in next Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time for our next Wellness Warriors segment, where we'll continue to explore ways in which you can optimize for higher performance. Most informed, most trusted, and most grateful you spent this time with us. Until next time, stay in the zone. I'm Dr. Brian Brown.